7 words. 7 simple words from the richest man in the world that just shattered the silence of the holiday weekend and exposed the single greatest terror lurking in the boardrooms of the global industrial complex. He didn't tweet about the price. He didn't tweet about the profits. He didn't tweet about a bubble. He looked at the vertical line on the silver chart. He looked at the draining vaults in London and Shanghai, and he typed exactly what every supply chain manager at Tesla, Apple, and Samsung is currently screaming to their superiors behind closed doors. This is not good. Silver is needed in many industrial processes. Let that sink in for a second. This is not good. When silver hits $80 an ounce, the speculators cheer. The stackers celebrate. The YouTube comment sections explode with fire emojis. But when the man who builds the rockets that land themselves, the man who runs the largest electric vehicle company on Earth, the man who is trying to build a new internet infrastructure in low Earth orbit, when he looks at the silver market and says, "This is not good," he is not talking about his portfolio. He is telling you that the supply chain is breaking. He's telling you that the physical metal required to build the future is running out. He is telling you that the paper games played by the CME group and the bullion banks are colliding with the hard reality of industrial necessity. And for the first time in history, the industry is panicking. Ladies and gentlemen, Asian guy here, and today we need to talk about why the Musk signal is the most important development in the silver market since the Hunt brothers. Because while the mainstream media is busy trying to convince you that the holiday smash from $84 down to $75 was the end of the rally, while the talking heads on CNBC are breathless about profit-taking and overbought conditions, the real money, the smart money, the industrial money is looking at the exact same chart and seeing something completely different. They aren't seeing a top. They are seeing a wall. They are seeing the moment where the unobtainium phase begins. And if you think Elon Musk is the only one panicking, you haven't been paying attention to what just happened in Beijing while the Western markets were sleeping off their Christmas dinners. Because at the exact moment Musk sent that tweet, the Chinese Ministry of Commerce was finalizing the export license list for 2026, and the number of unauthorized exporters didn't go up. It didn't stay the same. It vanished. We are watching a synchronized constriction of global supply at the exact moment the world's largest consumer is telling you publicly that the situation is not good. Do you understand what happens when not good becomes not available? Do you understand what happens to the price of a strategic asset when the richest man in the world realizes he can't print more of it? The $80 price tag you see on the screen right now, that isn't the bubble, that is the fire sale. That is the last gasp of a pricing model that assumes silver is just a number on a screen rather than the lifeblood of the technological era. And today, we are going to expose exactly why Musk is worried. We are going to walk you through the industrial math that has the billionaires sweating. And we are going to show you why the bond holiday trap that the banks just sprung on the paper market is about to backfire in the most spectacular way possible. The shortage is here. The warning has been issued. And the squeeze, the real squeeze, hasn't even started yet. Let's get into it. Now, I need you to understand exactly what the enemy just tried to do. Because if you don't understand the mechanics of the trap, you might actually fall for it. You might look at the red candles on your screen from Monday morning and think that the rally is broken. You might think that the bubble has popped. But what you saw on Monday wasn't a market. It was a mugging. The CME group, the gatekeepers of the paper casino, didn't just tweak the rules. They rewrote them in the middle of the game. They raised margin requirements on silver futures to $25,000 per contract. That is a 13.7% increase, dropped on a Friday night, effective immediately after the market close. Do you know why they do that on a Friday? Do you know why they do that during the holiday week between Christmas and New Year? Because they know the volume is thin. They know the traders are away. They know that liquidity is at its lowest point of the entire year. They wanted to trigger a cascade. They wanted to force the leveraged longs, the speculators who borrowed money to ride the momentum, to liquidate their positions instantly. It is the same playbook they used in 1980 against the Hunt brothers. It is the same playbook they used in 2011 to smash the price from $50 down to $26. They raised the cost of playing the game until the players are forced to fold. And for 24 hours, it looked like it worked. Silver dropped. The headlines screamed correction. The weak hands panicked and sold their paper contracts. But then something happened that wasn't in their playbook. Something happened that defied 40 years of market manipulation history. The price stopped falling. And then it started to rise. Why? Because Elon Musk isn't buying futures contracts on the COMEX. The Chinese Ministry of Commerce isn't trading paper derivatives on the CME. The solar panel manufacturers in Germany and South Korea aren't speculating on margin. They are buying physical metal. And you cannot margin call a bar of silver that is sitting in a factory vault. You cannot force liquidate a strategic reserve that is owned outright by a sovereign nation. When Elon Musk tweeted, "This is not good," he wasn't looking at the paper price. He was looking at the physical availability. He was looking at the lead times for delivery. He was looking at the premiums. He knows what we have been telling you for 3 years. The paper market and the physical market have completely decoupled. The banks are trading a fiction. They are trading digital promises of silver that doesn't exist. There are currently over 300 paper ounces traded for every single ounce of physical silver in the registered vaults. Think about that ratio. 300 to 1. It is a game of musical chairs where there are 300 people in one chair. And for decades, the banks have been able to keep the music playing. They have been able to print more paper contracts to suppress the price whenever demand got too high. But Elon Musk just realized the music is about to stop. He realizes that when Tesla ramps up production of the Cybertruck, when SpaceX builds thousands of Starlink satellites, when the Optimus robot goes into mass production, they need physical silver, not a futures contract, not an ETF share, not a promise from JP Morgan. They need the metal, conductive, reflective, irreplaceable silver. And he is looking at the same data we are. He is seeing the London vaults draining. He is seeing the Shanghai inventories hitting critical lows. He is seeing the mining supply stagnate because nobody invested in new mines when the price was suppressed at $20. The holiday trap was designed to scare you out of your position. It was designed to make you think the top was in. It was designed to free up just enough metal from the weak hands to keep the industrial machine running for another month. But it failed. Instead of crashing, silver stabilized. Instead of fleeing, the smart money bought the dip. The volume of physical sales recorded by major dealers on Monday wasn't a sell-off. It was a buying frenzy. One of my sources at a major North American bullion dealer told me they beat their all-time sales record by 50% on the very day the price was supposed to be crashing. The retail investor didn't blink. The industrial buyer didn't blink. And now the banks are trapped. They fired their biggest weapon, the margin bomb, and the market shrugged it off in 48 hours. They have nothing left. They are standing naked in the middle of a battlefield, holding a piece of paper, while a tank made of physical demand rolls right over them. And inside that tank is Elon Musk. Inside that tank is the Chinese Communist Party. Inside that tank is every green energy mandate from the European Union and the United States government. They have created a monster of industrial demand that must be fed, regardless of the price. And this is where the story gets truly terrifying for the establishment. Because the shortage isn't coming next year. It isn't coming next quarter. It is here, right now. Let me walk you through the industrial numbers that justified Musk's panic. Because once you see the math, you will understand why $80 silver is still dirt cheap. They told you that industrial demand was softening. They told you that manufacturers would simply thrift the silver out of the panels, that they would engineer their way around the problem. They told you that high prices cure high prices. That was the lie they used to keep you selling SLV at $30. But here is the mathematical reality that Elon Musk knows, and that the talking heads on TV are too terrified to admit. You cannot thrift your way out of physics. To make a solar panel more efficient, to make it capture more energy from the sun, you do not use less silver. You use more. The new generation of TOPCon and HJT solar cells require 50% to 80% more silver paste per unit than the old technology. And the world is shifting to these new cells exclusively. Musk knows this. He knows that the global solar industry isn't slowing down, it is accelerating into a vertical line. But that's not the part that scares him. Demand is one thing, supply is the nightmare. While you were distracted by the margin hikes and the price volatility on the COMEX, the Chinese Ministry of Commerce quietly dropped the hammer. They published document number 68 of 2025. Did you hear about this on Bloomberg? Did CNBC do a special report on document 68? Of course not, because if they explained what is in that document, the paper market would evaporate overnight. Document 68 is a declaration of resource warfare. It lays out the new framework for state trading of silver exports for the 2026-2027 period. And let me be crystal clear about what state trading means in Beijing. It means the free market is dead. It means that Chinese mining companies can no longer just sell their silver to the highest bidder in London or New York. The document explicitly states that any producer wanting to export even a single ounce must apply for qualification, meet strict thresholds, and prove compliance with state objectives. They set an annual output threshold of 80 tons just for newly applying producers. This is a choke point. China mines millions of ounces of silver every year. They are the third largest producer on the planet. And with a single piece of paper, they just turned off the tap. They are telling the world, our silver stays here. Our silver goes into our solar panels, our electric vehicles, our 5G infrastructure. Do you really think they're going to send their strategic silver reserves to the West so that JP Morgan can use it to settle a futures contract? Do you really think they are going to help the American banking cartel suppress the price while they are trying to dominate the green energy future? This is why Musk is posting, "This is not good." He realizes that the supply chain has just been weaponized. Tesla needs silver for every vehicle they produce. SpaceX needs silver for the electronics in every rocket and satellite. The entire Musk empire runs on silver. And now he has to compete for a shrinking pool of available metal against Apple, against Samsung, against every defense contractor in the United States, all while the largest supplier in the world just closed its doors. We are entering the unobtainium phase. This is the phase where price becomes secondary to availability. When a supply chain manager at a semiconductor fab needs silver to keep a billion-dollar factory running, they do not care if the price is $80 or $180. They do not care about the technical chart patterns. They do not care about the RSI. They care about one thing. Can we get the metal? And the answer coming back from the wholesalers, from the refiners, and from the vaults is increasingly no. The wholesalers are running out of stock. The dealers are struggling to fill orders. And the 27,000 tons of silver supposedly sitting in London vaults, that is the biggest lie of them all. Reuters reported the headline number to calm the market. They told you there are 27,270 tons of silver sitting in London vaults as of the end of November. They want you to visualize a mountain of metal. They want you to think there's an endless buffer of supply waiting to be unleashed to crush the price. But let's do the math that the mainstream media refuses to do. 27,870 tons is roughly 874 million ounces. That sounds like a lot until you ask who owns it. The iShares Silver Trust, ticker symbol SLV, holds approximately 529 million ounces. That is one single ETF. That is over 60% of the entire London inventory tied up in one vehicle. Now add in the other ETFs. Add in the allocated accounts held by sovereign wealth funds. Add in the industrial stockpiles that are already spoken for by companies like Samsung and LG. When you subtract the metal that is already owned, already allocated, and already effectively removed from the market, that 874 million ounce mountain shrinks to a molehill. The free float, the amount of silver actually available for immediate delivery to bail out a short seller, is razor thin. It is practically non-existent. And here is the data point that proves the panic. On Monday, when the price crashed 9.5%, when the margin hikes forced the speculators to vomit up their positions, do you know what happened to the 529 million ounces in the SLV? Nothing. It didn't move. The institutions didn't sell. The long-term holders didn't flinch. They watched the paper price collapse, and they held onto the physical metal. This tells you that the silver in those vaults is in strong hands. It is not available at $75. It is not available at $80. And this is the nightmare scenario for the bullion banks. The banks operate on a fractional reserve system. They sell hundreds of paper ounces for every physical ounce they actually control. They rely on the free float to settle deliveries. They rely on being able to source cheap metal from China or Mexico if someone actually demands the physical bar. But China just closed the export window, and the London vaults are filled with metal that belongs to ETFs that aren't selling. The authorized participants, the entities responsible for keeping the paper market functioning, are trapped between a rock and a hard place. They cannot source metal from the east because of the export ban. They cannot source metal from the west because the ETF holders are refusing to sell. This is why the CME raised the margins. It wasn't about volatility, it was about desperation. They are trying to force you to sell your paper contracts because they literally do not have the metal to deliver if you stand for delivery. Peter Grant, the senior metals strategist at Zaner Metals, warned that $80 was a plausible near-term objective. He said that before the full implications of the Chinese export rules were digested, when the algorithms realized that the 27,000 tons in London is a mirage, when the industrial buyers realize that the only way to secure metal is to outbid the banks, the price isn't going to stop at $80. We are looking at a market where the sellers have run out of ammunition. They fired the margin hike, it failed. They fired the media fear campaign, it failed. And now, the road to triple digits is wide open. Now, I need to talk to the people who are feeling nervous. I need to talk to the people who saw the headlines this week about a generational bubble and felt a knot in their stomach. Tony Sycamore, a market analyst at IG, was quoted in The Guardian describing this rally as a bubble dynamic. He wants you to think of tulips. He wants you to think of .com stocks. He wants you to think that what goes up must come down, and that you are the fool for holding the bag. The word bubble is a weapon. It is designed to trigger your loss aversion. It is designed to make you sell your position and rotate back into the safety of the fiat currency that is currently losing 9% of its purchasing power every single year. But let me ask you a question. Was there a bubble in oil in 1973 when the Arab embargo cut off supply? Was there a bubble in palladium when the automotive industry realized they couldn't build cars without it? No, those were not bubbles. Those were repricing events. A bubble is speculation divorced from reality. A repricing event is the market violently adjusting to a new reality that it previously ignored. And the reality of 2026 is simple. The world has run out of cheap silver. The momentum we are seeing is not random. It is not Reddit traders pumping a stock. It is the industrial complex of the entire planet realizing that the price of their most critical input has been suppressed for too long, and now the coil is springing back. This is the wealth transfer we have been talking about for years. This is the moment where capital flows from those who hold paper promises to those who hold real assets. This is the moment where the 60-40 portfolio dies, and the hard asset portfolio creates dynasties. And you, the stacker, the believer, the person who bought tubes of Eagles when everyone laughed at you for buying a pet rock, you're on the right side of history. Every time they smashed the price, you bought more. Every time they told you silver was a relic, you held the line. And on Monday, when they tried to break you with a 13% margin hike, you didn't sell. You proved that you are the strong hand. But I have to warn you, the danger isn't over. But the danger isn't that the price will crash. The danger is that the price is about to gap. We are entering a phase of extreme volatility where the price discovery happens overnight. While the US stock market is closed, while the ETF investors are stuck in their positions, the physical market in Shanghai and the futures market on Globex are going to move. If silver runs to $85 overnight on Sunday, SLV is going to open 7% higher on Monday morning. The people waiting for a pullback to buy in, they will be left behind. The people who sold hoping to buy back lower, they will be chasing the market as it rips away from them. This is how squeezes accelerate. They don't give you a polite entry point. They don't give you a second chance. They gap higher and higher and higher until the only people left holding the metal are the ones who refuse to sell at any price. You are sitting on the most undervalued asset in human history at the exact moment the richest man in the world just admitted the supply is gone. Do not let them shake you out now. Do not let a manufactured dip in the paper price trick you into handing over your real wealth to the very banks that are trying to destroy you. The $80 level is gone. The $100 level is a magnet. And once we break $100, the psychological barrier that has held this market down for 50 years will shatter. So here is the bottom line. We are standing at the event horizon. The gravity of the physical shortage is now so strong that not even the combined manipulation of the CME and the bullion banks can escape it. You have the perfect storm. You have China locking down 20% of the world's supply with Document 68. You have the richest man in the world signaling an industrial panic to 200 million people. You have a margin hike that failed to crash the price, proving the sellers are exhausted. And you have a gap risk that could reprice this metal to $100 before the US market even opens on Monday morning. So here is your action plan. If you are still on the sidelines, if you are still waiting for that pullback to $50 or $60 or even $70, wake up. That world is gone. The era of cheap silver ended the moment Elon Musk tweeted. The risk now is not that you pay too much. The risk is that you get 0 ounces because the buy button disappears. If you are holding paper silver, if you are in unallocated accounts or generic ETFs, get out. Convert it. Take possession. When the squeeze goes kinetic, paper claims will be settled in cash, not metal. You do not want worthless fiat currency. You want the asset that is becoming unobtainium. And to the stackers, to the long-term holders, to the veterans of the silver squeeze who have endured years of ridicule, years of smashing, and years of gaslighting. This is your victory lap. You are no longer the fringe. You are the new central bank. You hold the collateral that the entire digital world is desperate to acquire. You are the only ones who actually own what the rest of the world is just pretending to trade. The volatility is going to get worse. They will try to shake you out again. They will launch more margin hikes. They will run more hit pieces in the media. Do not let them have your metal. We are watching the greatest transfer of wealth in human history, shifting from the people who print paper to the people who produce value. The suppressed spring has been released. The holiday trap has failed. Elon Musk knows it. Beijing knows it. And now you know it. The price is $70.30. The target is infinity. I'm Asian Guy. The silver squeeze is real. The industrial panic is here. And the only thing you need to do is hold the line while the system breaks around you. Like, subscribe, and share this video before they try to take it down. I will see you on the other side.